This is a Forgiven Soldier radio show.
Strangers become your brothers. They got your six when it's back against that wall. And you will never have another who cared for you when times got rough. That's a brother who cared for you when times got tough. That's a brother.
And now, your host, Brian Basham.
Hi, welcome in Forgiven Soldier radio show. This week, I got an amazing guest, and I believe I could go into town and talk to anybody, and they would know at least the last name because there's businesses with this last name. You're probably not related to them. I think we've had this conversation, but I got none other than Mr. Randy Lanham. How you doing, man?
Brian, thank you for having me on your show. And yes, a lot of people do know me because I owe a lot of people money.
Yeah.
And they're looking for me as we speak. And don't tell them I'm here.
I won't. I will not tell them that we're at KWC recording this.
Right. Well, by the time they listen to this, I'll be long gone.
Long gone. You're just making it stop.
Hey, Brian, thanks for having me on the show, man.
So when I started the show back up and I wanted to look at the local talent here in Owensboro and get artists in, not just musicians, but like artists and people with like who enjoy their craft or whatever they do, wood carving, like whatever it is. I didn't think of anybody but Randy Lanham. So I actually came to you. I'm like, hey, I'm getting the show started. I want you on. And schedule wise, it took us this long to get it, but we got it. So,
yes. I'm glad to be here, man.
You told me to leave you alone until after the jamboree. And I was like, okay.
I said that in a nice way, though.
You did very nice. The nicest rejection I've ever gotten in my life. I've never seen you be mean anyway. So, but yeah, so I wanted to get you on and kind of just get to know you. Who is Randy Lanham and what makes you special? So, so yeah, tell us how did Randy start? Are you from Owensboro or?
Well, I'm from Knoxville, East County, not Knoxville, Tennessee, Knoxville, Kentucky. Everybody out there, a lot of people hear me say Knoxville, and they're like, Knoxville, Tennessee. So knot, like a knot on your head, like a knot in a tree. Knoxville is just east of Davis County. Here, I grew up on a farm. Big family, got 5 brothers, 1 sister, again, working on the farm, grew up, we worked really hard, working in tobacco in the hay field, always had cattle and horses, and sometimes raised corn and beans. And my dad worked a full-time job, and he would get home and work the farm until dark or even past dark, and then on all day Saturday. So we were a very hard-working family, but I tell you what, I wouldn't change it for the world. I look back, sometimes my kids will ask me questions about it. It's kind of like, ask me questions about what we had and what we didn't have, because they're a little bit spoiled rotten today. And I tell them, I remind them sometimes, I'm like, but I wouldn't change that for the world. So I love my upbringing. I love my family. We was in church every Sunday, and just I gotta put a plug out there to the little town of Knoxville, which I'm fixing to move back to, by the way.
Okay.
Here in about a month, I'll be moving back out there. But anyway, it's just such a great community because everybody knows everybody and everybody helps everybody. If you're reading the Bible about the early church, it's like anybody who had anything gave to the people that didn't. Everybody helped everybody. And that's kind of the way Knoxville is still to this day. It's everybody helps everybody.
Yeah, it's your own little village. And I grew up in Hancock County and Breckinridge County, and same thing. Like everybody knew everybody, and it was just a small town, small enough where everybody knew my mom and dad. So they're like, yeah, I went to school with your mom and dad, or I taught your mom and dad in school, and all this stuff. So I am so blessed that I grew up in a small town and had to work the tobacco fields and in the hay fields and a little hard work. Because I don't have hard work now.
Yeah,
so
me neither. Me neither.
I have fun work. So I enjoyed the upbringing, and my kids have no idea.
Yeah.
Like I tell them to go outside, and they're 5 minutes they're inside. They're like, it's hot. I ain't got nothing to do.
I know, ain't that terrible?
Like, my mom locked the door on us. Like, don't come in until about 7 o'clock at night.
I know. If we had a day that we wasn't working, we were out hunting, we were out riding 3-wheelers at the time, motorcycles, bikes.
So they didn't have 4 wheels in it. Like,
that's right.
Yeah.
We were outside all the time. We didn't stay inside. So yeah, it was a different time. But I tell you, just growing up in that, I wouldn't change it for the world, man. I loved it. Hanging out with my buddies when I could. We worked hard, always had everything. But also, my dad was chief of the volunteer fire department for 20 years. All of my uncles were firemen. It's like, it was just the way everybody was. You spent your life working hard, taking care of your family, but also going to church and loving on others and volunteering in the community. Yeah. That's really, really what made me what I am today.
It felt like you had a big family.
Yeah.
When it gets to that point is you don't know if that's your aunt, uncle, cousin, or whatever. You just know they've been in your life your whole life. And you're like, I don't know how we're related, but we're related somehow. That's the best. You were talking about when like being in the community and stuff. So when did the music part come into play? Like, have you always been attracted to music, and what about that attraction kept going all these years? Yeah, well, it started when I was younger. My granddad, John Lanham, was an old-time fiddle player. When I say that, he played for a lot of square dances, little festivals and just get-togethers and jam sessions in his basement. He loved music more than anybody I ever knew. And growing up, I would see him and his buddies play wherever that was, and he made it look so much fun. They were always having fun, always smiling. And everybody in the room or everybody in the building was having fun too. Everywhere they went, I was like, man, I want some of that. So at 11 years old, I asked my granddad, Granddad, will you teach me how to play? He said, Randy, yeah. I said, he said he had collected fiddles, so he had a couple extras. He said, I got this fiddle. He got it out. He tuned it up, dusted it off. He said, let me give you a few lessons. I'll loan it to you. You take it home. Now, if you're serious about this and you really practice and you really want to learn to play, I'll give you this fiddle, but you got to prove to me that, you want it. Yeah. I think there'd been a lot of his kids, my aunt and uncles, and then other grandkids come along and say they wanted to play, but maybe they didn't stick with it, So I think he wanted to make sure that I was going to be serious about it. So I took it home. I practiced. It was so terrible. It was squeaky. It was like sounded terrible, but he kept giving me some lessons, teaching me. And after about a month, I learned the squeakiest version of Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star you ever heard. It was awful, but it was enough to where, he saw it in my eyes. He knew how bad I wanted it. He knew how much I loved it. And then I was just eat up with it. And that's what kind of launched my music right there, is playing the fiddle. And then I spent a lot of time around Granddad and took lessons from Herman Albee, which is a local fiddle legend around here. I took lessons from him for about 6 months. And then, man, I had so many teachers, it's ridiculous. Everywhere we went, if there was a fiddle player, I'd be just watching as a kid, watching and listening and asking questions and recording. So it's one thing my granddad taught me too, not only music. He would carry a tape recorder around. Yes, a tape recorder. Yes.
A lot of you all don't know what that is. But he would carry a tape recorder around and record all this music. So I started doing the same thing. So I would go to these places and whoever fiddle player it was, they knew I was just digging everything they was doing. So they would take me off to the side and give me fiddle lessons, right then and there. If we was at a festival, we'd walk, 20, 30 feet away from the stage, and here I'd hit record on my tape player and start getting the fiddle lesson. They would start teaching me things and showing me things. So I have multiple teachers throughout the years, people that they saw the hunger in my eyes to want to learn and how bad I wanted it. And they took me aside and they really, poured into me. So I appreciated that. So that was kind of how it all started. Yeah.
So I have a similar story, kind of, but not really. I told my mom I wanted to learn how to play guitar. I was a big Garth Brooks fan, and not that he's an amazing guitar player, but he always had it. And George Strait, and I was like, I want to learn how to play guitar. And she told me she gave me some tennis rackets, and she's like, learn how to play that, and then I'll get you a guitar. So I don't know if she was telling me I was horrible and like I shouldn't do it. I'm still learning how, but yeah, I got my first guitar when I was in Iraq, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and a buddy of mine there taught me 3 chords, G, C, and D, and I played it for about 13 months straight. And I know everybody got tired of it, but it helped me with my transitions and all that good stuff. And I was still horrible when I came back. And I met my wife, and I wanted to play for her in like the living room area, you know. Mm-hmm. And I play a song like a Keith Urban song. It was horrible. It was horrible. She loved it. She acted like she loved it. And it's funny now. Like now, I got some lessons behind me, and then picked up. I stole a lot from Drew Odd, just picking with him and jamming with him. I was like, wait, how'd you do that? And then playing in church was big for me because that was the first time I actually played in front of people. And I didn't play good then either, but it forced me to learn the craft. And I was like, I don't want to sound horrible, so I gotta practice. And but now she won't even let me play. She's like, put that thing, it just makes noise, just put it away. I'm like, I'm so much better than I was when we started dating. And so we have a mutual friend. I grew up with him, Daniel White. We called him Duck. I still call him Duck, but amazing guitar player.
Yes,
probably one of the best guitar players I've ever met in my life.
He's incredible. And
so you're talking about a childhood, like, you know, just outside all the time, never inside and everything. We actually, me, him, and another kid that grew up in Hancock County. So our mom just kicked us outside, and we got our bikes, and we was like, let's start riding. You know, we're gonna ride our bike. And we set out to ride from Lewisport to Hallsville.
Wow.
And we're like, we're going to do it. And we'll turn around. We wanted to go over the bridge, the Lincoln Bridge. So we left probably about 8 o'clock in the morning, and we rode our bikes on the highway, like down Highway 60, all the way to Hallsville, all the way to the bridge. And when you cross the bridge, there was like a little diner to the right there. And we stopped in the diner. We got something to eat, some water, and we rode all the way back.
Wow.
Like if I think about riding a bike today that far, like I couldn't do it.
Oh my gosh,
but
that's a long ways.
It was nothing as a kid. And I remember I came home and I just threw the bike in the front yard, and I just went inside, went into bed. And but we were gone all day. Yeah. So that's kind of like the childhood that my kids don't get. Now,
I'm with you. Mine don't either, unfortunately. You know, this society today is just, it's so much easier and so much comfortable just to stay in the air conditioning and be on your phone or watch TV and all that stuff. But yeah, I wouldn't change it for the world, man.
I wouldn't either. But I don't miss it either. I love the air conditioning. I love the couch.
I do like the air conditioner. Yeah, the AC. Yeah, it's kind of nice. I love not working in the tobacco field or hauling hay. I mean,
do you have any scars? I got
a
scar where I got spiked. You see that?
Yes, I got a scar on my head where a tobacco spike actually went in my head and it scarred me. I got scars all over my body. When I was young, from riding 3-wheelers and motorcycles, bicycles, go-karts, all the hunting, all the tree climbing and all that. I mean, I had broken bones. I got scars all over my body.
Yeah.
From getting hurt a lot as a kid.
We'll compare it because I was a, you remember the show with Johnny Knoxville, and it was on MTV.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I could say it on the radio, but anyways, that show, y'all know what it is. So we try to recreate that when we're in high school.
Oh yeah,
me and a bunch of friends, and I mean, I've fallen off barns into like haystacks. I still have an injury from that. I got drugged behind a car, and I was on a lawnmower, and
oh gosh,
we did some crazy stuff. There's a tape floating around somewhere of us doing all this stuff, and if I ever find it, it's going to be worth a lot.
Well, so
we'll go viral.
Speaking of that, so I saw somebody make a post or a meme or something about, aren't we glad that we didn't have, smartphones back when we were kids, all the crazy stuff we did, or all the stuff we wasn't supposed to be doing, that would have been filmed and like people can blackmail.
Oh, I know.
It's like, yeah, it's probably best that we didn't have cameras in our pocket.
Yes.
We could just pick out and film or take pictures of all the crazy stuff we did.
We had on a VHS tape. So I don't even know if they make VCRs anymore. They probably do, but
I'm sure you can still get them. I got one at home that I just keep because of VHS tapes. Back in the 90s when I was touring with these country artists and stuff, I was very fortunate to be on some TV shows. So back at home, Mom and Dad would record these when I was on VHS tapes, off the TV when I was on these TV shows. So I have kept the VCR just so I can throw those VHS tapes in and watch some old playing tapes every once in a while.
That's awesome. Well, we're going to take a little break. We're going to come back. We're going to dig a little bit more into the music part of it and the journey and all that stuff. But you've been listening to the Forgiven Soldier radio show on 90.3 WKWC.
The Forgiven Soldier radio show. Put your faith above everything, but have your family close. Online at forgivensoldier.com.
Veterans Empowered Together is a nonprofit 501c3 organization made up of veterans for veterans. We want to personally invite every veteran out to our Coffee with Veterans event every second Saturday of the month. If you have questions or want to get involved, our website is www.veteransempoweredtogether.com and our number is 270-852-6518. Find all the current events on our Facebook page as well, facebook.com/Veterans Empowered Together.
The Forgiven Soldier radio show. Christ offers forgiveness for everyone, everywhere.
All right, we're back with Randy Lanham on the Forgiven Soldier radio show. So we talked in the earlier segment, we talked about early life and how you got the passion for music and where it came from. You were saying your grandfather and then just jamming with a bunch of, at the time, you probably didn't know they were local legends, but they end up becoming, pretty popular, and we still talk about them to this day. So in the journey, I was looking at a picture of you when you were younger.
Oh, Lord.
Did you have a mullet?
I did. It was awesome too.
It was epic.
I mean, it was pretty long. Yeah.
Now, most fiddle players that I've seen, and again, it's more modern country, like Alabama had they didn't have a fiddle player, but they had one in one song. Garth Brooks has a fiddle player that is
Jimmy Mattingly. He's a local boy.
Yeah, he is
from Litchfield, Kentucky.
But he had a mullet.
Yep.
So every fiddle player I've ever known,
not just the fiddle players, back in the 90s. I mean, that was very, very much popular.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of.
Have you thought about bringing it back?
You know what? My wife keeps telling me, grow the mullet back. And I actually, last summer or last fall or whatever, I tried to start letting it, get the shag on, and it just was not rocking like it was back in the 90s. And I just
thinner.
You know what? Hey, now I didn't say that, but I couldn't. I was like, man, this just ain't working. So I cut it off again.
Yeah.
But she keeps telling me to try to bring the mullet back. And I got other people that I know like, yeah, Randy, come on, grow your mullet back. But yeah, there's a lot of pictures floating around there. And if you go to YouTube, and a lot of these artists that I played with, I was in some of their music videos, and everybody always likes to make fun of my awesome mullet back in the music video days.
Let them make fun of you. They ain't in no music video, right? So speaking of that, when you were, just starting out in the music, the scene and starting to really get your groove, and you're the most modest person I've ever met. So I need you to not be modest at this point in this conversation. When was the point when you were playing with somebody, you reflected on yourself, yeah, I made it. This is what I've wanted. This is what I prayed for all my life. I'm here now. Yeah.
Well, I got to tell you, I was in bluegrass bands all the way up till I was about 19 years old, right out of high school. And shortly after that, I had won the Kentucky State Fiddle Championship. And I was like, wow, this is, and in the band I played with at the time, we won the bluegrass band competition 2 years in a row. And I was like, wow, there's something to this. But first artist that came along, Marty Brown, when he first got his record deal on MCA Records, and he came and listened to my bluegrass band play. And then right after that, he said, man, I'd love for you to play fiddle in my band. I was like, what?
Yeah.
I mean, and this is so awesome. He had just signed to MCA Records, and he was just making a big splash when he came out. And when he hired me, and I said, yeah, I'd love to, I'd love to get in. I'd never really done a lot of country music. I was mostly just bluegrass stuff. But our very first show I ever played with Marty was on the Grand Ole Opry. So it was amazing. I was so scared,
awesome.
Man. I'm 19 years old, scared to death, but that's what launched it. And then we were doing some short tours with people like Ricky Skaggs, Patty Loveless, Vince Gill. So we were doing these shows with these people, and all of a sudden I was playing these big shows and hanging out with these big country stars, and was like, man, this is cool.
Yeah.
I can't believe what's happening. We, was in the Every Now and Then video that Marty made. I was playing guitar in that video and just started to get a lot of attention because, back in those days, we didn't have all the media we do today. So it was like CMT.
Yeah.
If you was on a video on CMT, dude, that was big. That was what everybody followed. So, and then doing other TV shows with Marty. I was on Hee Haw with him. We were on the Opry a couple times. I was. The very last season they ever did, Hee Haw.
I grew up watching that show.
Oh, I love it. I still watch it today. I love it. And then it was but that just opened the door. So that was the point that I thought, man, I got to meeting other musicians and other bands, and I was like, man, this is too cool, man. This sure in the heck beats working in the tobacco patch. Because I honestly, I never did succeed a whole lot in school, and I don't say that to tell people out there struggling and say, yeah, just forget that and go pursue music as a career. I don't know wherever God's leading you. But for me, I really, really struggled in school, paying attention. My grades were terrible. I'm not proud of that. I'm not proud of that at all. I wish I'd tried harder and did better, but I really had a hard time focusing. And so when that was revealed to me, and I joke sometimes, no, I joke all the time about, I was working construction out of school and construction companies, building houses, working farm work and all that. Grew up doing all that stuff. I was like, man, this is a whole lot easier. First of all, playing music, I'm on stage getting attention and all these pretty little girls smiling at me, right? Yeah. And then I'm making money and I'm not having to work hard, and this is awesome. But really, that's just kind of the way, God opened the door for me, and not to be lazy, but just I was like, this is a whole lot easier than all this physical labor. So,
well, and that's the thing. If you find something that you truly are passionate about, it's a lot easier for you to teach and to, be stewards of that gift. And that's what God says, is be good stewards of it. So, and you have a gift, Randy Lanham.
Well, thank you.
And it's not just picking up a fiddle or an instrument and playing it, but it's also about sharing it with people and teaching people. And I've talked to many people around this area, and when I mention your name, they're like, hey, he's a great teacher. He is a great teacher. So, and that to me, and again, I'm not as good as a music player, but if somebody would say to me like, Brian, you are a great teacher to people, and that's being a good disciple, and being able to teach, whatever you're trying to teach.
Well, I gotta say, it took me a long time to learn to teach.
Yeah,
and I am very blessed. It's like I'm 51 years old now, Brian. I know I don't look it. You don't have to say it. Yeah, I know you was guessing like 35, 40
32.
max. Yeah,
32 was it. Yeah.
But I tell you, it took a long time for me to learn how to teach. I came off. So let me back up just for a minute. So after Marty, I moved to Nashville at 20 years old, and my very first one of the first jobs I got was playing at Gillies in Nashville. And Gillies in Nashville, that bar, we was playing 7 nights a week. All kinds of local songwriters and singers and artists would pop in there. Met a ton of people. I landed a job with Clay Walker, playing fiddle for Clay Walker. And then right after that, Wade Hayes, I was with him for many years. Then I went out with Tracy Lawrence for about a year. And then went out with Tanya Tucker for a short while. But for health reasons, it kind of ended my road touring. I have ankylosing spondylitis, which, say that 3 times fast. And I'm not going to get into all of that, but I've had my right hip replaced, and it causes complications. And living on a bus did not help it at all.
Help it, yeah.
And that's okay. That was my time to come off the road, and it's a blessing, So when I did come off the road is when I started to teach, because I couldn't sit around. I just couldn't sit around and do nothing. I had to do something. And so I did. And so I started teaching, and I was terrible. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know what I was doing. But
I get frustrated when I try to show people like just the 3 chords, right? And I try to show them and they don't get it. I'm like, you know what? You got to go somewhere else. You're not getting it.
I appreciate you saying that, and I'm glad that people think that I'm a good teacher, because I wasn't good at first, but I had to learn. And and it is a huge blessing to be able to teach, to be able to break it down easy enough. And I think one of the problems with a lot of people is they when something comes so easy to you, sometimes it's hard to break it down and make it easier for somebody else that don't understand it.
Because it's easy for you.
Right. And it's like breathing. You don't think about it. You just do it. You pick that instrument up and you play it like you're breathing, right?
Yeah.
And then when you have somebody that can't comprehend it exactly the same way that you do, or just getting started, you just really have to break it down and make it easy and help it relate. And then everybody learns different too.
Yeah.
And that can be a challenge, but thanks for saying that. And I'm glad people think that, because
everybody's saying it, man. Everybody's saying it. And it's good to have that in the community, that outlet for kids and older people. And I know people usually think about kids getting music lessons, but there's older people that
there's all ages.
I got a good friend, Jesse Phillips, and he took your class on how to play guitar, and he loved every minute of it.
That's great.
He's like, I'm going to learn how to play fiddle next. So
that's awesome.
And if you know Jesse, he's not the type to like put himself out there, but he's willing. He's like, I want to learn how to play. He called it the violin. He's like, I want to learn how to play the violin. I'm like, well, if you have to call it the fiddle. He's like, I'll tell you what, when I learn it, I'll call it the fiddle.
Oh, that's great.
So, well, good. Well, let's take a small little break, and we'll come back and we'll talk a little bit more with Randy Lanham. You're listening to the Forgiven Soldier Radio Show on 90.3 WKWC.
The Forgiven Soldier Radio Show.
All right, we're back with Randy Lanham on the Forgiven Soldier Radio Show. Thank you guys for tuning in. We got a little bit left with Randy. He's got some cool toys out right now. Some fiddles, some toys, some noisemakers.
Yeah,
no, we got a couple fiddles. Can I call it a fiddle even though I don't know how to play it?
Okay.
Yes. So this fiddle was Charlie Daniels' golden fiddle, and you bought it. Tell me the story.
Did. Yeah. So Charlie Daniels passed away back in 2020. And then I happened to be at Wade Hayes is one of the guys that I played with, and he and I are still like best friends today. He's one of my best friends still. Around Christmas time, my wife and I, this is a couple years ago, we just went down there to stay a weekend with Wade and his wife, just for fun, just to hang out with them. And we were sitting around, and Wade gets this message from the folks at Charlie Daniels' estate saying, hey, we're going to have an estate sale. We're reaching out to these country artists and give them kind of first dibs.
I was gonna say they didn't reach out to me, so it must be you got to be on some tier, you know.
Well, it was just luck because Wade like looks over at me. He reads the message. He's like, "Randy, would you be interested in, you know, some of Charlie Daniels stuff?" I was like, "Yes."
Yeah.
I said, "Let's go right now."
Yeah.
Like, let's go.
Yeah.
And anyway, so this
Maybe
was
get your moo off. We're going to Charlie Daniels' place.
That's right. That's right. And I was like, let's go. Anyway, they said, well, we're not ready. We just wanted to kind of reach out and let you know. Anyway, fast forward a couple months, COVID had spiked again. So they was like, well, instead of going to his house, we're just going to put everything online, send you a link when it's ready. So cool. So he was one of the first ones to get a link saying, hey, this is the things and this is what we're, you know, wanting for everything. So he immediately sent it to me. And the first thing I did was scroll down, and out of probably 50 things they were selling from his estate, there was only one golden fiddle. And if listeners out there know Charlie Daniels, you know the song "The Devil Went Down to Georgia" and the story about the golden fiddle, right?
Very
the devil
first song I learned how to play. Right?
Yes, great song. So I'm scrolling through the website and I see a golden fiddle that belonged to Charlie Daniels, and I push that buy button. I couldn't
$20
buy
later.
I couldn't buy it fast enough.
Yeah.
And I couldn't believe it was there, but apparently I was like one of the first people on there. They had just sent that link out. Literally, Wade got it, probably sent it to other country guys and girls as well. But he got it, sent it to me. So I was like literally within an hour or maybe 30 minutes as it went live, I was on there. So I was one of the first people to go on there and be able to see it. So there was only one golden fiddle they were selling. So I bought it.
And I'm holding it right now.
And you're holding it right now.
That's amazing.
So
I'm gonna put a picture out. I'll take a picture of it and I'll put
absolutely.
it out.
Absolutely.
So people can see it, but it's amazing.
It is.
One of the we were talking to you played for Clay Walker and a couple other people. Do you know any Clay Walker fiddle tunes?
Well, like, so when I was with him when he first came out, the first year of his career. And I was if y'all want to go to YouTube and look up Clay Walker Live Until I Die, you will see me with my mullet.
Awesome.
And in a red shirt in that video. It took us 2 days to make that video. But anyway, I'm playing fiddle in the video. And so I played this lick right here many, many times.
Oh, boy.
That was the signature fiddle lick.
I got the Gooseys, man. That's
And
amazing.
then when I played with Wade Hayes, his big hit was Old Enough to Know Better.
Yeah.
So a lot of y'all might remember that. I played those songs many, many times.
That is
through the
awesome.
years.
Just send, like, there's certain tunes that you hear and you like when you first hear them, you're like, oh yeah, that song right there.
Yeah.
It's so signature. Garth Brooks is another one. One of my favorite songs of his is Calling Baton Rouge.
Yeah.
It's just a good tune. Do you know that one too?
I do.
Jim
That was
and
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
I always
amazing.
loved that song too.
Randy's foot was tapping and going. I mean, it's a show in here. It's a party in here. I wish I could play as good as you do, but
Well, I'm going to give you a lesson, right?
so yeah, we're gonna do a lesson here.
All right.
real
So,
quick.
yeah, and so people
Do I even
know
need this
he's. Yes, you are.
Okay.
I'm going to walk over next to you so I can help you out. But so you're holding the Charlie Daniels fiddle.
Yes.
So don't disrespect Mr. Daniels and the devil. I'm just kidding.
tell
I'm just
me-
messing
don't
with
tell
you,
me
man.
this.
I'm just messing with you. Okay. So from across the table, let me see what I can teach you.
Okay.
Okay. You see that little bitty string on there? That's
Right
called
here?
the E string. Yeah.
E string. Okay, I know that.
Okay.
All
If
right.
you pull that bow across that string and don't touch the other ones and don't touch the string,
Okay.
you're playing what's called an E open. Let's try it. Yeah. So there you go. So I'm going to help you out here to make it a little bit smoother. You got your bow?
Yep.
So let's move it a little faster.
Oh, I see.
See how it makes it smoother?
Oh my gosh. Sorry, Charlie.
No, so you're just, there you go. You're just bumping that, okay? So, can you remember E open?
Yeah.
So far, so good?
So far,
Okay.
so good.
You only need 3 notes. You lay that first finger right about there on that E string and push down.
Yep.
That's called an E1. So play that. You got it. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to go 1 bow stroke E open, 1 bow stroke E1. Go back and forth. E open, E1. Not 2 bow strokes, 1. So go,
1, okay.
go open, 1. Nope.
Oh, I see.
So go open, then 1. Open, then 1. Open, then 1. All right, we're getting there. You only need 1 other note, okay?
Okay.
That middle finger, drop it right there, and that's
Okay.
called an E2. Drop it on that E string. There you
Right
go.
there.
Now play that note. Don't let that finger touch. All right, now play me an E2. There you go.
Okay.
Now play 1 bow stroke on E2. 1 bow stroke on E1. 1 bow stroke on E open. All right, good. Now do that again. I want you to go E2, E1, E open. What did you just play?
Oh, Mary had a little lamb.
Mary had. Do it again.
All right.
Mary had. See, look at there. You're already playing.
So Randy,
You
I
made Charlie Daniels proud.
I appreciate you saying that, Randy, but I have to tell you the truth. I have played the fiddle before.
Oh, you have?
I have played the fiddle before. So when I told you that Devil Went Down to Georgia
Yeah.
was my first song I ever learned how to play, you know I play the guitar, but you don't know that I actually learned the fiddle part of Devil Went Down to Georgia.
So you was faking that whole
I
time.
was faking. Yeah, let me show you what I mean.
Are you for real?
I'm for real. Let's
You
go.
have Charlie Daniels fiddle.
I do. I have Charlie. I didn't know you were bringing this in. That God honest, I didn't know you were bringing this in. So
Okay.
this is an honor for me to be playing this song on his fiddle.
Oh my gosh.
Here we go.
All right, here we go.
So there it is. And that's why I said I couldn't believe I didn't get that link, because I would have bought this fiddle just for that, just to show it off. So,
You know, I would almost give it to you, but I won't. I'm
no,
not.
I appreciate you even bringing it in for me to play that for you. So
Wow, I had
appreciate
no idea you was that good of a fiddle player.
that. I'm gonna have to teach you.
Yeah. Can we start taking? Can I take lessons
Yes,
from
you can. I'm a horrible teacher though. So let's talk about some of the stuff that we got going on in the community that you're a part of. So you are a big part of the Bluegrass Museum, and that's where I kind of found out about Randy Lanham, the fiddle player. Everybody kept on talking about you. Even Daniel was like, "Yeah, I was playing with Randy Lanham." I was like, "Who?" I saw a video. I was like, "Man, this man is pretty good, like a fiddle player." And so yeah, tell us about what's going on and what we got going on in the community here.
Well, first of all, so it makes me feel so good that people brag on me or whatever they think that I am. But I've got to say this, and this may sound corny to some of y'all, but it's the truth. It took me a long time, to realize, but I know where my gift comes from. I know that God has gifted me with this because it came easier for me than it did a lot of people. I saw a lot of people when I was starting to try to learn and kind of fall away. And God gave me this gift of playing, and he gave me the gift to teach music, so I want everybody to know that I know where it comes from. And so, if anybody who's ever pat me on the back for anything that I do, I want you to give God the glory, because I certainly do, because I know it came from him. I know he can take it away at any second, and I don't take it for granted that he gave me this gift. So I try to use it for everything that I do, whether it's performance, whether it's teaching others to play. So at the Bluegrass Music Hall of Fame and Museum, what we're really focused on now, I've been teaching there for 20 years. When I first started teaching, I started getting right into the Bluegrass in the Schools program, and I was an arts teacher at the River Park Center for many years, up until just a couple, I guess COVID, and then. But anyway, so at the Bluegrass Music Hall of Fame Museum, about this time last year, we launched the Bluegrass Music Academy. And the Young Foundation, we were able to get a grant through them to allow me to actually, for the first time in 20 years, everybody thinks I worked at the museum, and I did, but I was more like a independent contractor. It was kind of
like a consultant.
Yeah. I would teach, but it wasn't like, I was not an employee. So I didn't get to dedicate time. It was like I came in, I taught group classes, I'd go into the schools and I would teach, but I didn't have dedicated time. I had 14 other jobs I was doing. Now that I'm able to dedicate like 3 days a week to working there, I'm like, the first thing that I want to do is start revving up our programs, and not just to teach people, but to teach people an instrument, then to teach them to play together, and then teach them to go out in the community and play. My heart is really like nursing homes, man.
Yeah.
I've been playing them since, that was the thing that when I was first started, my granddad took me to nursing homes to play. Hospice patients, folks in the hospital, we can go on and on. There's lots of different places, but so I'm outreach minded, man. I'm outreach minded. I just don't think it's right for any of us to take a gift. We're talking about music right now, but we all have talents. We all have gifts.
Yeah.
And God tells us to use them, right? I don't remember what scripture it is, but he gave one guy 10 talents, gave the other 5, gave the other 1. He comes back and he says, "What'd you do with my 10? He said, "I doubled it." "What'd you do with my 5? "I doubled it." "What'd you do with my 1? "I buried it in the ground." And he's like, "Get away from me. I never knew you." And basically that tells us like, we are not to use our talents, whatever that is, for ourselves.
No.
We are use that to share with others. So that is my focus. And so I'm really super, super focused on really, again, I want to teach people to play. I want to teach other teachers. Okay. Because I can't do all the teaching. I want to teach other people. This is what works for me. Right.
Yeah.
So let's go out and teach other people. Let's teach them to play together. Let's teach them some of the same songs and the same keys. Let's get them together. Let's form these little groups. Right now we have 12 groups that are playing out. We're going to get more. And then, you know what? If you're a little bit scared, a little intimidated about going to a nursing home, I'll tell you what, I'll go with you. Let me go and help you get established in here. You're going to make friends.
Yeah.
You go and play there a few times, you're going to start knowing these people by name. They're going to know you by name. You're going to create relationships. You're going to take this gift and you're going to turn it into something beautiful, much bigger than any of us can do on our own.
Yeah.
So that's the focus, man. That's what we're doing. We're working with your organization, VET, with the songwriting thing.
I'm excited for that.
I'm excited about all of it, dude. Our banjolele program, we launched this last year at the hospital. Owensboro Health has 4 banjoleles. For those of you who don't know what a banjolele is, it's a ukulele shaped like a banjo, and it has a little bit more of a banjo sound, but it's basically a ukulele. We've created a thing with open tuning and then color-coded markers where it's so easy for anybody to play.
I still need that on my guitar.
No, that's not true. You're fine. You're but you can be laying in a hospital bed and literally learn how to play a song in 5 or 10 minutes. I can have you playing songs, right? So just all these programs, man, back during COVID and then still today, I think God gave me a message, and I kept seeing all these headlines saying mental health crisis. And they kept talking about how that is going to go on way beyond COVID. After COVID's gone, they said this
it was there way before COVID.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But it's going to get even worse. It's gotten worse in the world, right? And and I keep seeing these headlines one after another. And he was telling me, Randy, I have given you tools to help people.
Yeah.
I've given you tools to help people. And
it just takes one. It takes one person really, on all these programs and all this stuff, that if they're struggling with, mental health or whatever it is, it takes one person to take onto this program. It's like, you know what, this changed my life. And that one person will spread it like wildfire.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So everything you do. And I truly believe, and that's the reason why I'm doing this show and talking to all these people is, I struggle with mental health, with anxiety, and music is one of the only coping things that I have. So when I'm struggling and getting in my head and all that stuff, I pick up my guitar and I just play. And it doesn't matter what I play. It's just playing, the act of playing and the sounds. And it all has something to do with controlling my mental health. Yeah. So, and that's why I'm so delve into music. Like, let's get into it and let me get it to other people and all that stuff. Not that and I just, when I have something in my mind, I just like, I got to see it through.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If it helps one person, then I've done it.
You and I are a lot alike. I cannot stand to sit around and talk all day for months or years about, hey, we got this good idea, so let's meet every week or every month for 2 years and talk about it and not get anything done. Yep. No, let's go and do it like yesterday. And like, I'm not scared to fail.
No, I ain't either.
And I have no fear of trying something. And if it fails, I don't even call it a failure. I call it I learned a whole lot from that. And I'm still not done because God has put this in me to do. Yep. So I'm going to continue, and I'm going to do it maybe a different way this time. Yep. But I'm still going to do it, and I don't want to sit around and talk about it all day.
And that's kind of how Vet started. Me and Derek Van Tile, Doc, we were sitting there at the meeting, and he's like, "Yeah, I've been wanting to do this for years." I'm like, "Man, let's stop trying. Let's just do it. If it fails, it fails." But it ain't failed yet. So we that tells me we're onto something. And partnering with Bluegrass Museum, we helped out with Romp. Yeah. And that was fun. We want to do it again, so that's a good sign.
Not only did you help out volunteering at Romp, but a lot of you all performed on the stage at Romp,
and it was hot.
It was hot. Yes. But it was so much fun having when we reached out to you and said, hey, man, we want 10 veterans. Of course, anybody can sign up for the classes, but we reached out to your organization saying, man, we want you all to be a part of the lesson program. So y'all got to perform with us on stage. And again, the partnership.
And I still had people coming up. We had Coffee with Veteran event at Windy Hollow Biscuit House. And I had veterans come up and say, hey, you going to do that thing with bluegrass again? Like, I want to learn how to play an instrument. Yeah. I'm like, they haven't told me, but I'm sure if I get people, they'll take them for sure.
Yeah,
but,
absolutely.
I think let's continue that, and we'll have a pretty good sized bluegrass band in the veteran community.
Oh, I love it! I love it.
Jesse on the fiddle,
people. I want you all to know something too. I know it's the Bluegrass Music Hall of Fame and Museum, but just come down there and learn some skills. I don't care if you end up being a playing rock and roll or rap or whatever it is, country. We do a lot of classic country too, and a lot of gospel stuff down there. But we're giving you the fundamentals. So when you think about that, I don't want people to be like, I'm not a big fan of bluegrass. I don't want to do that. Just come down there and learn the fundamentals and some good old songs, and you can take that and learn anything you want with it.
And I'll tell you what, so I've lived here since 2016, and I finally took the tour of the museum, and there was people in there that I was like, oh, they're bluegrass. Like, I didn't know they're bluegrass, like Keith Whitley's in there and other people like that. And I was like, man, it's kind of cool to see the history of where country music came from. Yeah. Because it came from bluegrass, right. And you know more about that, but definitely check out the Bluegrass Museum. Definitely check out Randy Lanham. He's got Facebook and YouTube with the mullet. Check those videos out. I read a cool thing. So you played in the 50 states. There was something with 50 states.
Yeah. So on my 50th birthday, I played my 50th state, and that was Alaska. I never played in Alaska before. And Wade Hayes, he called me up last year. He said, man, I got this Alaskan thing I'm going to be playing. It's a 3-day thing. Would you like to go? I said, yes, I would love to. Yeah. I didn't even plan it or anything that way. He just asked me to play in Alaska, and I was like, yes, I'd love to. Never been there. Perfect time in May, beautiful time of year. So I'm up there before I even realize, okay, so it was my birthday. Yeah. The day we came home was my birthday. So I just celebrated my birthday the whole time I was up there. I've told everybody, hey, man, it's my 50th birthday. Yeah. And then it struck me as like, this is the only state I've never been in. All the years we toured in every state. Yeah. Never been to Alaska and played.
That's amazing.
So I was like, okay, my 50th birthday, my 50th state. This is kind of cool.
So, you know, those Facebook quizzes, like which states have you been to and all this stuff. I mean, you just killed that. I mean, you've been to every state. So now you got to come up with something else.
Yeah, I know it. Well, I haven't been overseas, so maybe that's my next thing. But I always want to go on a mission trip.
I wouldn't recommend Iraq.
No.
It's horrible.
No, sir. I wouldn't. I wouldn't do that unless it was to go and
Ireland would be fun.
Play music.
Yeah.
For the soldiers or something like that.
Yeah, that'd be
Yeah. So anytime, yeah. So that's on my bucket list.
You never know. You never know what the future holds. So
that's right.
I want to thank you. I appreciate you being here. I want to thank you for being here. Give the people a last word from Randy Lanham.
Last word from Randy Lanham.
Or you can play the fiddle. Whatever you want to do.
No, man, I'll give some words. I play fiddle all the time. I'm sure people are tired of hearing that. I just can't encourage people enough. I'm also director of Volunteer Owensboro. We didn't even go there today, and that's okay. But I'm always trying to come up with ways just to encourage people to be bold and to just get out there and share your talents. And we've been talking music today, but I'm not talking about that. I mean, there's so many lonely people in nursing homes that you can literally just sit there and talk to them. I mean, anybody can do that.
Yeah.
There's so many volunteer opportunities here in Owensboro. It's ridiculous. Go to volunteerowensboro.com and you can see about 70 plus organizations that looking for volunteers right now. And it don't matter what you're called to do. I mean, you're going to find something. Yeah. I mean, everybody's not cut out to go to a homeless shelter. That's my calling. That's what I've been volunteering in homeless shelters around here for 15 years. But everybody's not called to do that. Everybody's called to do something, though. And I just encourage people, man, get out and do it. Yes. Just try it. Listen, and if that opportunity is not for you, here's what's beautiful about a lot of these organizations. They get it. They understand. You're not going to hurt their feelings if you go in and try it for a while and you say, it's not for me. They see it all the time. And then you can go try another one and keep going until you find it and make it a priority. Here's the thing. If you don't make it a priority in your life, you ain't never going to have the time. Right. You're never going to find the time. You have to make the time. You want it a priority and take your kids with you. Mm-hmm. What a great lesson to teach your kids, man. Anybody. And if you don't have kids, if you're, that's okay too.
Borrow somebody else's.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. But just go and do it. I'm telling you, that's what God created us to love our neighbor. Yeah. And when we're doing that, it gives us such a good feeling. It's almost selfish sometimes. So just everybody get out there and find something, man.
Good words. And look up, and we didn't talk about it, but Volunteer Owensboro, I'm lucky enough to be a part of it. Go to Facebook, get on there. There's tons of opportunities to get out there and do some stuff.
Yeah.
Look up Randy Lanham. I'll have all the stuff on the on our Facebook page as well. Randy Lanham, thank you.
Absolutely. Brian, thanks for having me on the show, bud.
No problem. You've been listening to the Forgiven Soldier Radio Show on 90.3 WKWC.
A bedtime story, a kiss goodnight. Then Daddy said I have to go away. Through the tears, her mama cried, darling, he'll be back again someday. Oh, she never thought that would be her last goodbye, or hearing Daddy sing her favorite lullaby. His dress blues, they cried and prayed, holding hands on that old front porch swing. And they talked about the memories made under the moonshine while the crickets sang. He said, don't worry, I'll be back before you know. And with a hurting heart, she smiled and let it go. All the families left behind, and the heartaches they carried through their life, they have to look for families of the fallen. His wife and daughter weeping as they carried him off the plane. Dad salutes his fallen son in the falling rain. His mama stands there silent and tears rolling down her face. Because of them, we're all in a better place. All the families left behind and the heartaches they carry through their life, they have to look for peace of mind and always keep their memories alive. Never forget their sacrifice. What they lost is still alive. The families of the fallen. The families of the fallen.
You've been listening to My Dad on the Forgiven Soldier Radio Show. The Forgiven Soldier Radio Show is a broadcast service of Veterans Empowered Together and 90.3 WKWC.